I've been getting a lot of questions about leucovorin. Primarily, is leucovorin a treatment for my child? But first, I think it's important to understand how leucovorin can help some children on the autistic spectrum. So I took this diagram, which I think is helpful to illustrate how leucovorin could potentially help some children on the spectrum. This was taken from an article written by Dr. Fry and Dr. Jill James, titled Treatment for Metabolic Disorders Associated with Autism. And when we're thinking about leucovorin, it's important to understand the blood-brain barrier. The blood-brain barrier is a barrier that protects our brain and our spinal cord. It's tightly regulated with receptors, and this is how we get things into our CSF. The receptors that we're interested here for understanding leucovorin is the folate receptor, seen here on this blue line, and reduced folate carrier. The folate receptor is how we primarily bring folic acid into the CSF. Some patients on the autistic spectrum have antibodies to this receptor. They can be binding or blocking or both. When you have antibodies to this receptor, you transport less folate into the CSF. One way that we can bypass this is by using reduced folate receptor, the RFC that you see above the FR on the blue line here. The RFC will bind to folinic acid, which is what leucovorin is. Now you have to give a higher dose because this receptor has less affinity, means it binds a little less strongly than the folate receptor. So we need to flood the system a little bit with the folinic acid to get folate into the CSF. For many patients, this works. And in fact, there's been research demonstrating this. In patients who have the antibodies to the folate receptor, when you give high dose leucovorin or high dose folinic acid, it gets beyond the blood-brain barrier and into the CSF where we need it to carry out many biological pathways. The other thing that's interesting about this research is that patients who have casein in their diet, and casein is the protein found in milk, have an increase in the amount of antibodies. So when we took casein out of the diet, milk out of the diet, cheese, yogurt, etc., out of the diet, there was a reduction in the antibodies to the folate receptor. Theoretically, with a reduction in antibodies, you should be able to get more folate beyond the blood-brain barrier. And this is one possible explanation for why some parents see an improvement on a milk-free diet in their children or casein-free diet. I hope that this video answered a lot of your questions. And if you would like testing or have any further questions, please reach out to our office. Thank you.